Commissioner Culpepper and Commissioner Taylor came on this particular body, $7 million was sitting in youth development, hadn't moved for 2 years, nothing happened. It was just sitting there. Then, I started talking, said, well, we need to start using some of this money to help, young people in our community, And before I got elected, we had a young lady lose her life over in Roller Ridge. We convened a meeting at Ebenezer. The room was packed. Some of y'all was in there. Our elected DA, she was there. And the thing was, what can we do to help our young people in this community? And now, we're here. We're trying to figure out, how to move forward. Yes, I wish the whole $3 million would be used toward youth development in some form or fashion. But obviously, as this body, and again, we're a Democratic body. Sometimes we agree and we disagree, and that's okay. I would love to see more money into the youth development bucket, but to Commissioner Hu's point, we're a timeline, and that's our fault. That's our fault, and we need to be transparent about that. That's the commissioner's fault. Although I wasn't on it initially, I'm here now. It's my fault too, and we should have moved this. And y'all remember, and I hate saying this, I told us back in January we need to start getting a plan together. But here we are now. So I'm probably going to support us moving forward. I think, unfortunately, we got a lot of needs in this community when it comes to our young people. And we need to fulfill those needs in some form or fashion. But, it's just sad that, we're taking the $7 million that was allotted for youth development and start spreading it out among other things. And those needs are important, don't get me wrong. But are our young people not important? I'm gonna tell one of the stories, then I'm done, Mayor. When I was working for the Clarke County School District, we had agreed to make West Broad a daycare. But because some people thought a building was more important than children, it got defeated. And that was sad for me to see that, and I was an employee then, so that was sad for me. So I'm sad a little bit now because we hadn't, I think, done enough to help our young people, but this is where we are right now, and I think, we go ahead and take the vote, and wherever the vote falls, let that be the way it falls. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I've got Commissioner
For sharing that with us. And I, in terms of putting a hold on it, I do realize there's a lot of restrictions. We saw that with the workforce development money. I'm well aware of that. And I'm not necessarily saying that in 2 weeks we might not be back here voting on the same thing. However, there is a discussion that I am willing to have and put into the discussion of reallocating the other $300,000 to the Boys and Girls Club. There was, and I did want to ask the manager one question, because on the document that was distributed to us in the agenda project, under the agenda report, under the items where it lists what the commissioners were told the mayor, there's a list of staff recommendations. Are those all, and one of them was those basketball courts at Southeast Clark Park. Is that because you all felt that those could be contracted and taken care of in the allotted time, the amount of time we have left?
That's correct. At that point in time, I would have to confirm with Director Kilpatrick if that's still the case.
Okay. Are there any other basketball courts that are in the same similar?
That was the closest one to shovel-ready, as I understand, but I think we need to reach out to Director Kilpatrick and
Okay, thank you.
confirm that.
So all I'm saying is if it does, if we do hold it, I will work with whoever is interested in seeing if there are some more funds that shovel-ready in the next 14 days.
All right, I'm going to move to.
Again, I don't know if my colleague was talking about me when he made a comment about not bringing nothing forward, but I always bring stuff forward. It's just never heard. When I said I was voting no, that meant no to the CDO or a second thing. I meant no to all of it. But if you're talking about doing something tangible in 2 weeks, which I don't see how we could do it, I'd be glad to help. I feel as though I speak on this commission and nobody listens. And then when we get here, I catch the blame with the rest of y'all. But if there's a conversation, Commissioner Myers, I didn't serve on not one ARPA committee, even though I was the only one who participated in ARPA training, not one. Maybe we could have had some, I could have shared some of the things that we learned in those workshops. So I'm voting no on both, but if it happens to roll out that something else comes out, I'll be glad to work with whoever.
It's always fun when I find myself agreeing with Commissioner Hamby. But when he made his motion, he talked about looking to the upcoming budget, the FY26 budget. And one of the things I'm glad this body did, we expanded our funding of the Community Partnerships Program. We've funded a lot of things with general fund money that we didn't used to, and at the same time that we spent this ARPA money. So, I would encourage colleagues who have concerns about us to remember the amount of money that's being diverted from the youth development and the workforce buckets, and then, come to those budget discussions with concrete proposals for how to make up the difference then, The discussion before us tonight is whether or not to spend the money that's left on these things in the time we've got left, and we are out of time. And so the idea of voting no to all of it, if a majority of the body here votes no to all of it, we just lose the money, which then means this stuff that we're spending it on here, we have to spend general fund money on or SPLOST money on instead. There's nothing to be gained by not moving this forward. I think a more productive conversation is, at the next retreat, bring those concrete ideas forward of what we should be funding instead. In the next budget cycle, bring those concrete ideas forward. It's not just, we could expand the community partnerships program, you could add some specifications to it, you could talk about things in leisure services, HCD, whatever. I think that's the best way forward to honor what the intention was behind this money that didn't get spent, and to honor the concerns we're hearing at the podium from the public tonight. Especially some of the rationale I heard for holding is we don't feel like we've been transparent or something, which is a thing that frustrates me when I hear that from this body. But I don't see how in 2 weeks with only one meeting between now and then, we're somehow going to have a more transparent way of changing how we spend this money. What are we going to do in the next 2 weeks that we haven't done in the last 2.5 years since passing this in March 2022? So I really encourage my colleagues, it sounds like this vote's going to be very close. I encourage my colleagues to think about the consequences of not passing this is losing the money. It's not doing something really great with it instead.
That actually waiting 14 days and putting something together are the same thing. I'm looking at that list of contracts. I think there might be slight adjustments, and I think that staff could handle them. So it's not a question of either throwing the money back to the federal government by not voting it for tonight. So I'm in the lucky place to disagree with my colleague, Commissioner Poole, tonight, to say that actually we could still be spending the money in 2 weeks as well. And I will be voting on some way to spend the money if it is moved forward for 2 weeks from now.
All right,